Now that the offseason is starting to slow down, let's talk about the best 5 teams in the West Part 1. I'm picking the Lakers to be the 5th seed. I think they had a good offseason. They lost one important rotation player in Dorian Finney-Smith, but were able to replace him with Marcus Smart. They got an upgrade at the center spot with DeAndre Ayton. They also got Jake LaRavia to be another wing that comes off the bench for them. Some people might say the Clippers should be the 5th seed because they have more depth and talent, but I just don't think they're going to be healthy enough, and I think Luka will have an MVP type of season. So I trust the Lakers to at least be the 5th seed. The 4th seed I think is going to be the Wolves. I have to put some respect on this team for being able to get to the conference finals 2 years straight, and most of the roster is coming back, so I expect them to have a good start to the season. Last season they were the 6th seed even though they had a bad start to the season, and if they just won a couple more games they could have been the 3rd seed. So I feel pretty confident with this pick, especially with their young guys having a good summer league. I picked the Rockets to be the 3rd seed. They had a really good offseason. They were able to get KD without giving up anything valuable. They were able to fill in Dylan Brooks' spot with Dorian Finney-Smith. They were able to get Clint Capella to be part of their center rotation. The Rockets are really versatile defensively and have a lot of length, but the only thing I would be worried about with this team is their offense. KD is going to help with their offense, but who's going to step up when KD gets injured? Is Reed Shepard or Amen Thompson ready to step up? That's the only worry I have for this team, and as long as KD plays 60 to 65 games, they'll be the 3rd seed. Now that the offseason is starting to slow down, let's talk about the best 5 teams in the West Part 2. At the 2nd seed, I'm going to pick the Nuggets. They had an awesome offseason. They give up Michael Porter Jr. and were able to get 4 players that make the Nuggets bench way better. Is Cam Johnson better than Michael Porter Jr.? I don't think so, but I think Cam does have an argument because his contract is way better than Michael Porter Jr.'s. By trading Michael Porter Jr., they were able to get Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Valanciunas. Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway are going to be really good players, especially with Jokic making life easier for them. And now Jokic finally has the best backup center he's ever had with Jonas Valanciunas. This roster is just built to win a lot of games in the regular season, and I think this roster can handle Murray having a slow start to the season like he always does. The 1st seed to me has to be the Thunder. They're bringing everyone back from last season, and they're basically adding 2 first-round picks in Topic and Sorber. Chet and Jalen Williams can take a leap, and they still have a young and deep roster, so I can easily see them get 60 plus wins again, even if their core players only play like 30 minutes. It's wild when you look at their roster, they just have so many players that other teams would want to put in their rotation. And for the Thunder, they're just the 11th man in the rotation. Let's talk about the worst 5 teams in the West Part 1. At the 15th seed, to no one's surprise, it has to be the Jazz. They're still in rebuilding mode and are trading away their vets for trash or buying them out. I know it's been a couple weeks, but I still can't believe they traded Colin Sexton for Nurkic. I did like their draft this year though. They took a risk with Ace Bailey, who didn't look happy when he was drafted there, but I think it was a good pick. Ace Bailey, out of all their draft picks, has the potential to be an all-star. Other than that, the Jazz just aren't close to winning more than 25 games this season. At the 14th seed, I picked the Pelicans. This team is just weird. Their starting point guard tore his Achilles in January last season, so who knows if he will come back for this season. They have Jordan Poole, but who knows if this team will be able to hold up defensively with him and Zion in the starting lineup. Just looking at the roster, it feels like they're putting a lot of pressure defensively on Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. And then there's Zion, who can never stay healthy. So I just don't think this team will win a lot of games this season. After these 2 teams, I think any team from the 13th seed to the 11th seed can be in the play-in or playoffs. That's just how good the West is. At the 13th seed, I'm picking the Kings. I'm not a big fan of their roster right now. They have so many players that don't play defense in their starting lineup and just score. I just know players will be getting career highs when they see Levine, DeMar, and Sabonis in the arena. I do like some of their players like Keon Ellis and Keegan Murray, and I did like their draft picks with Nick Clifford and Maxime Renaud. They can probably sneak into the play-in if they're a top 5 offense with a below average defense. Let's talk about the worst 5 teams in the West Part 2. I'm picking the Suns to be the 12th seed. I think the Suns have a roster that can at least fight for a play-in spot. One of the main problems with the Suns last season is that they weren't long and athletic enough, and this season they have long and athletic players at each position on the roster like Mark Williams, Malawach, Dunn, Fleming, and Jalen Green. They also still have vets on the roster that can help the rookies like Allen, Royce, and Richards. And the Suns finally have a starting level center with Mark Williams that won't look like he's in pain when he jumps like Nurkic. One of the reasons I wouldn't put the Suns above the 12th seed is that I don't know how good Jalen Green will be for the Suns. We've already seen someone with a similar skill set to Jalen Green come to Phoenix and Bradley Beal, and we saw how bad that went for the Suns. So I'm just going to stay optimistic and hope that he fits perfectly on this team. At the 11th seed, I'm picking the Portland Trailblazers. I like their offseason additions like Drew Holiday and Young Hansen. They're going to have a really good defensive lineup with Drew, Avdia, Klingon, and Kamara. But I still think this team is just one more piece away from being in the playoffs. And that piece could be Dame when he returns next season from his Achilles injury. I think this season for Portland is going to be about observing which of their young guys they should keep long term or trade away like Scoot and Sharp. Shams just reported that the Suns and Kings are interested in a signing trade for Kuminga. Suns fans, don't get too excited because I think if anyone is going to be able to get Kaminga, it would be the Kings. Sabonis is their star player and he might request a trade soon if the Kings don't do something. The Kings are in a more desperate situation and want to upgrade their roster badly. I wouldn't be surprised if they give up more than they should to get Kuminga. One of the reasons I say the Kings will most likely get Kuminga more than the Suns is because they can trade a first round pick to the Warriors, and the Suns don't have any tradable first round picks. So I just think at the end of the day, the Kings are going to give up whatever the Warriors need to get Kuminga, like a first round pick and Keon Ellis or whatever player the Warriors want. Will the Kaminga and Warriors drama end with him taking the qualifying offer? It's no secret that the Warriors and Kaminga have a bad relationship. The Warriors, since they got Kaminga, have been trying to do this two-timeline thing, and that approach has led to this situation, where Kaminga doesn't want to be the fourth option to Draymond, Jimmy, and Steph. He wants the ball in his hands more to see if he has the potential to be an all-star, and I don't think he's wrong for that. He's a 6'7" wing that's 22 years old and can create his own shot. Players that can do that usually become all-stars or get paid a lot of money. So if the Warriors aren't going to give him more opportunities to handle the ball and not sign and trade him to a team that will give him those opportunities because the Warriors have a high price for him, then it makes sense for Kuminga to take the qualifying offer where the Warriors can't trade him, unless they have his permission and he becomes a free agent next year. And if Kuminga does that, then the Warriors will be in a worse situation where they might not get anything at all for him. Mark Spears reported that the Suns offered 4 second-round picks, Nick Richards, and Royce for Kuminga. Right when I heard that, I just knew it wasn't true because the Suns don't have that many second-round picks. They used most of their second-round picks from the Rockets trade to move up in the draft. And I think the Suns have 1 or 2 second-round picks left. But I do think the Suns are at least offering Royce and Richards in the trade with the 1 or 2 second-round picks that they have left. But it seems like the Warriors aren't interested in Richards and would rather want Oso or Dunn in a trade. And I think that's an easy no from the Suns on Oso and Dunn, because the Warriors aren't in a position to be asking for young players in a trade. For the past year, the Warriors have talked about Kuminga as a guy that doesn't fit their team, and have shown that they'd rather bench him than play him. So why should they expect other teams to give up a lot for him when the Warriors have already shown their fans and other teams that they don't value Kuminga like that? Plus, the whole Kuminga and Warriors free agency saga could end with Kuminga taking the qualifying offer just to limit the Warriors trade options. So the Warriors should just take the best available trade offer before it's too late. Suns fans, would you trade for Kuminga if it involves Oso? I personally wouldn't do that because I think Oso is a unique player that can really help the Suns in the future. Oso's passing and basketball IQ is just so good that I don't think I would give up on him, especially if he goes to the Warriors. If Oso becomes a Warrior, I just know they will love him and somehow turn him into a point forward like Draymond. I have seen Suns fans argue that Oso should be included in a trade for Kuminga, just because Kuminga has the potential to drop 25 points a game. I get where they're coming from, but the Warriors are in a tough position with Kuminga right now where they can potentially lose him for nothing. So why should the Suns give up a vet, a young player, and draft capital when it has never cost that much to do a sign and trade before? If the Suns do trade for Kuminga, I just hope they give up some of the vets and draft capital. The Kuminga and Warriors drama keeps getting spicier. Kuminga's team is starting to leak offers that the Warriors are trying to give him, like a 2-year $45 million offer that has a team option on the second year. Kuminga so far isn't taking the Warriors offer because he wants long-term money and doesn't think the Warriors will give him the opportunity to grow his game. And Shams reported that Kuminga believes that the Warriors have stunted his growth, and I agree with him. Kerr is a good coach, but he will bench Kuminga if he makes too many mistakes, and that's just not going to help a young player develop. And what makes all this drama funnier to me is that Kuminga posted on his Instagram story that I'll always bet on myself. So I wonder if this is going to end with Kuminga taking the qualifying offer, or the Warriors will just take one of the Kings or Suns trade offers. I'm really surprised that the Bulls haven't given Josh Giddey a $30 million per year contract, because that doesn't sound like the Bulls that I'm so used to seeing. I mean, last year they gave out one of the worst contracts to Patrick Williams. They're going to pay him $18 million per year for the next 4 years, when he hasn't shown anything close to earning that type of money in his career. They probably valued that Patrick Williams has the skill set of a 3-and-D wing that every team in the league wants, but Patrick Williams up to this point hasn't shown that he's capable of being that type of player. So the Bulls have learned their lesson and will use restricted free agency to get Josh Giddey to sign at a number lower than the $30 million per year that he wants. I like Josh Giddey as a player, but his skill set just isn't worth $30 million per year. He's a point guard that can't shoot, can't defend, and needs the ball to be effective. So I think he's closer to $20 to $25 million per year. Cam Thomas is in a weird position right now, where his skill set just isn't valued in the league. Cam wants to get paid $30 million, but the Nets don't think he's worth that. So right now they're offering him a 2-year, $14 million per year contract, with the second year being a player option. And I think the Nets are right to offer him that type of contract. He's a small guard that can get you buckets. In his third season, he averaged 23 points per game, and in his fourth season, he averaged 24 points per game. So there's no doubt that he can score, but he's still not a good defender and doesn't look to pass. Cam Thomas has grown as a passer. Last season, he had a career high in assists at 4 per game, but he still looks like he values getting his own bucket versus finding his teammates. Cam Thomas is the type of player that will pass the ball to you when he realizes he can't get a shot off. It's really hard to build a team around a player with that type of skill set in a league right now that values length and defense. So in the future, is Cam Thomas just going to be a 6-man?